Good evening YouTube, RamJetX here. This video was sponsored by RamJetX Mods. It'll take time off the clock with the brand with the sock. Moving right along though, today I've got a little something special. This is a little project I've been working on for Carbo on AwesomeZSimRacing.com. This is an expansion to the original mini shifter box for the G27, G25 shifter adapter that I'd made for Gemonic. What's different about this one? Well, firstly, I printed it in clear PLA, and I gotta tell you, that looks awesome at night. That really looks cool. So what's it got inside? Well, it's got two buttons. These don't actually do anything for the game like Gemonic's did. However, they do select multiple modes, which are features of the pedal set. So I'll move on to those in just a moment. We have our brake controller. This is also a launch control aggression controller as well, so more aggression, less aggression. And you should be able to see there on the dial there the rudder control. That rudder I'm just using up and down to show what this pot actually does. So what have we got here? We've got the shifter adapter here on the end. We have the pedal adapter, a USB lead, and where did it go? That's unplugged. Not a problem. And under this time we've got underneath here we have a little 3-pin header. Might be quite hard to see. I'm using a PlayStation camera here, which I use for head tracking. This is my webcam, so we'll just plug this in here. And this port here is just an external 3-pin header, completely optional, but I put it on there anyway because I wanted to mold it into the model and have it 3D print some connectors for me. And what this does is gives you an external analog control. So here's an external potentiometer, and at the moment I have this configured as Handbrake. So you should be able to see that button number 8 is actually, I'll get out of third gear. That button number 8 is currently configured as a handbrake. It's in digital mode at the moment. But if I push the black button, now the black button goes on its own between rudder mode and pedal mode. So if I push rudder mode, you'll be able to see that's still working, but my accelerator pedal and my clutch pedal are actually working together to make a single rudder control. So that's great for flight sims, space simulators. I can switch back at any moment, and that's back into clutch, accelerator, brake, etc. So oh, and the middle brake still works as per normal. So if you wanted to use that as a air brake or a space brake, or well, I guess a brake of any kind, I don't mind. Cool thing is, if I push and hold this button though, and I count to, well, say 4 or 5, and I release, this pot now, which it used to be, actually I'll go back to pedal mode, this pot is now, instead of a digital handbrake, it's an analog handbrake. And the great thing is, if you wired it back to front, see, if I turn right it's minimum, left it's full, I just turn it around, this is kind of cool, pin compatible, and left is down, right is up. So it doesn't matter which way you wire your handbrake. If you're using a standard potentiometer, you can just change that around and dead easy to control. Okay, so great thing is also, if you disconnect it, it's sitting there sort of wobbling away. Go back to digital mode, 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. It's actually 3 seconds, but and it's back in digital mode, and you don't need anything connected to there at all. So completely optional, but it's there, it's in the code, it works. Why wouldn't you? Right, pedals. Pedal mode. Pedal mode, accelerator, clutch, brake. As you can see, the brake controller is varying how much brake. That is my brake pedal at full depressed mode. If I wind up my brake pressure, you can see I can go up to 100%. Nice and easy. Launch control. It's another little feature I like. Launch control. Now, wherever you set this, it will determine the rate of decay or slip rate or aggression, whatever you want to call it, of your clutch and your throttle application. So let's put the clutch fully down, and I'll push launch control. Now what you can see here is the X rotation is actually the clutch pedal. The throttle is given a predefined throttle application, and the more aggression I put on that rudder, which you'll see in the control panel, which is the launch control, there is more clutch slippage already being added, so it's engaging more preload onto the clutch. It's also adding more accelerator, more throttle, so a little bit more clutch, a little bit more throttle. You're preloading the clutch and the diff as much as you can. Brakes are fully applied, so that Y rotation, which you would normally assign as your brake in game, is still fully on, and if I drop the clutch, bam. So that X rotation, or the clutch, will actually, at its fastest rate, in launch control mode, will decelerate about that fast. Now, if I wind this down to minimum, and I enable launch control, notice I have to hit the clutch for launch control to stay on, which I can actually cancel, by the way. I just pushed the button to cancel. At its slowest mode, I'll give it full throttle this time. Notice it hasn't changed the throttle, it's preloaded exactly as it wants to be. Now I'm going to say full throttle, but watch that X rotation as I drop the clutch. And that is how slowly the clutch will release. So that's how launch control is actually working. So really, you just tune it to however you want it, and you can make it faster, really fast. I mean, that's actually quite quick, really. You'll bug a car down with that sort of thing. But if you're really low on grip and it's wet weather, that's a nice low release mode, and it allows you to really not have to worry. I mean, clutch is still working here. I haven't overridden anything. It's just taken temporary control, sets the ideal conditions for what aggression rate you want, and it's just going to work. Just drop the clutch and go. So most of the main features. The shifter, well, the shifter, as you can tell, is still plugged into here. Third, fourth, fifth gear, sixth. Reverse is still seventh. Buttons. Now the buttons I've actually just assigned pseudo randomly. Actually, what I did on purpose was I made all of these buttons fit into the first bank of 16 buttons, and the hats. The reason for this is it's actually pin compatible then to work with the SimDash software, where, well, the SimDash version of this, where it has the dashboard display, it has the extended button box. Now that will give you an extra 24 buttons, which when I've got 32 to assign, I'll have to start getting creative with how I'm going to assign things. So these will be assignable in game. A game that doesn't recognize these isn't a game worth playing. So and again, look, if it needs to be changed, I can change it. It's not a problem. As for gear skipping, this has been a problem in the past, where it's actually even been a problem whilst it's been plugged into the steering wheel, where a little bit of slop in the X and Y axes has actually made me skip gears. Gmonic had a slight problem with that at first, but we just adjusted some threshold values, filtered out some noise in the pot, and now these are just bang on. I can't accidentally get the wrong gear, and it activates just at that point where it's going into gears. Really nice. So just a quick recap. We got launch control, we got rudder mode for flight simulators, we have brake pressure controller, launch control aggression controller, a 10-bit pedal adapter, a 10-bit and shifter adapter, and external 10-bit analog input or digital input. You can just plug a single switch into there if you had to. You don't need a potentiometer. A switch on its own will do exactly the same thing, and that will actually work. So external handbrake, everything, basically everything. So if you want to go from a Logitech setup to a T300 or T500 or a Fanatec, but you want to keep your pedals and you want to keep your shifter, that's what you want. One of those. So it wasn't as short a video as I thought. Yeah. Anyway, I thought I'd just put this up on YouTube. Carbo would be interested to see it. I also wanted to do some final checks before I launch into a game and do some live play testing with this, just to make sure it's all hunky-dory. I'm pretty confident. It's gone through my test quite nicely, and I've printed up a few of these now, so I will actually release these files on probably Thingiverse, I believe. I think that's the best way to get these files out there as a custom box. Very, very cool. Not a single screw in it. The whole thing just clips together. That's that's so much fun. Alrighty, so with that, I think I'm done, and have a great night, and come and say hello to the guys on OzandZSimRacing.com and join in the fun. We have an Assetto Corsa GT3 Championship running at the moment, and there's of course the Project Cars Championships we have currently in Ginetta. Come and say hello, come play along, good fun. Right here, boys and girls, see you later.